At Bolton and Menk, we believe all people should live in a safe, sustainable, and beautiful community. Since 1949, we have continued to take care of our clients' infrastructure needs and will continue to do so during these tough times. To help future engineers and planners learn about what we do, we released a children's book series to highlight some of our service areas. Follow along as Lindsay, Sam, Parker, and their friends share what they love most about helping their communities. Visit bolton-menk.com/library to check out our books.
From the League of Minnesota Cities, this is The City Speak. I'm your host, Luke Fisher. I'm joined today by a good friend of mine, Joel Young, Mr. Chatfield. He served the community for 30 and a half years as a city clerk. Through his city leadership, he's taken on broader roles in the state, serving with the Municipal Clerk and Finance Officers Association, the Minnesota Association of Small Cities, the Southwest Minnesota League's municipalities, and with the League of Minnesota Cities. I've gotten to know Joel personally, standing in the back of a conference room at a league conference or at a Minnesota City Managers Association event. And I've always found him to be a thoughtful and insightful leader and somebody who always leaves me with a lot more than I'm sure I've left him with. So Joel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, Luke, thank you. Appreciate it. Look forward to chatting with you today.
So Joel, I'm curious, 30 and a half years with the city of Chatfield, what brought you into public sector leadership to begin with?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to think about that much time could have passed. Before working here, Luke, I had a financial planning practice. I had an office in Chatfield. I had a second office in Preston, just down the road here. One of the things I did for getting to know people was community service. I joined all sorts of civic organizations. And then at some point, I was able to help the city write a small cities development program grant. Did that 2 years in a row, actually. And that, kindled my interest even more. And so then when this position opened up, they were looking for somebody that had some financial expertise. And by this time, I was a pretty well-known quantity with people in here and vice versa. So we got together and it's worked out. It's worked out for me, that's for sure.
So Joel, with over 30 years in the city of Chatfield, my guess is to have that type of staying power in the city, you've had to have gotten a lot of things right. You've had to have done a lot of things really well. But I'm curious if there's been a time along the way, maybe where something didn't go so well, or maybe even made a mistake, and it's kind of one of those informative things that have changed your approach as a leader in your community or as a leader in your organization.
No one can be in a position as long as I have without people who are willing to accept you and encourage you and support you. There's obviously lots of mistakes in the past. I can drive around town and show you a bunch of them. When I think about a story of the value of being connected, the value of relationships, a value of being invested in the industry. And I was thinking about one person in particular, but there's actually, as I thought about it, there's been several I've known over the years who left the industry sooner than they probably would have needed to. Folks who were thriving, who were totally engaged, totally doing all the right things, right? And then for whatever reason, maybe not going to that conference or maybe not joining that small group, maybe not going to that regional event, and slowly losing perspective, slowly losing the understanding that what they're doing is really, they're engaged in something so much greater than themselves. And without getting recharged, without a support system, without staying plugged in, it's easier to become a little bit downtrodden, negative, maybe sarcastic, and then if that slips into cynicism, it's pretty hard to reconcile the ship. So I think about my own need for those connections, my own need for those relationships, and the need to watch for that in others around me and to encourage those things that you need to do that keep you healthy.
Yeah, I think when you're in a leadership position in a city, oftentimes it can feel isolating, right? You're kind of by yourself. You're on an island. You've got a public that's watching you so closely. So, Joel, what do you do to keep your batteries charged and to maintain that perspective that you mentioned?
I do have a pretty good support system built. I'm in a leadership growth group that represents about 8 people, 8 peers that we get together every other month. We read books, we talk about ideals and ethics and values, and we support each other. I've got another group, which is another 6 or 8 of us that
Sure.
we get together once a month. But we're there to talk, we're there to listen, we're there to support. And then I've got another group, but there's about 4 of us. So we just text each other. You know, hey, check out what I just put on the grill. You know, check out this cool beer I found, and so on and so forth. And that's this lighthearted connectedness. And then every once in a while, we really need each other, and it's really easy to talk. So those are the things that I have in place. Like I say, they just kind of happen organically, but it's really important to me.
Yeah. So how do you make that a priority for your staff and the people that work with you and for you?
We all got to know the concept of the one word. And for those who don't know, that's the concept of you distill your priorities for the year, you might say, to one simple word that might lead you to be the person that you want to be in the future. That you understand you're always a work in progress. I introduced the one word concept to the group, and now every one of us has a word. And we've been doing that for about 5 years. So in the end, here in Chatfield, when we have those meetings, we end up sharing a piece of ourselves. And we're talking about business, we share a piece of ourselves, and that's really helpful.
Yeah. So what's your word this year, Joel?
It's self-talk. I had to hyphenate
it.
You know, I had gone through a period somewhat stressful. I had that, you know, which dog do I feed in my head, right? The negative dog, or the positive dog. And listening to that talk in your head, those moments of doubt. No, I'm not going to feed that one. I'm not going to listen to that. I've got this, you know. I'm prepared for this. I love this, you know, whatever it might be. So self-talk has been a word that it's been working for me.
That's wonderful. And, you know, with the context of the past year that we've had, I think everybody's been tempted by both dogs in their mind, right?
Absolutely.
So that's good that you're doing that with some intentionality. That's outstanding. So, Joel, I think you kind of hit on my next question a little bit here, but a lot of what we're trying to focus in on with this season of our podcast is the concept of resiliency for leaders. I'm curious if you have any other advice or perspective for people on something you've done to stay resilient.
I think about driving home from a conference. Almost every single time I drive home, and I think, well, why didn't I know that? You know, I got it pretty good. Or holy cow, they're really doing something cool over at the city. I wonder if I could do that. I wonder if my department could do that. I wonder if my city could do that. You know, you get that point of inspiration. And so that you can come home and maybe aspire to it. But we all have our times in life when we can do more or less than other times. But you need to get yourself in a spot where you can be inspired. And you need to be able to be, I don't know, confident enough or vulnerable enough to share of yourself so that others can be inspired too.
Yeah, that's great. Joel, thank you so much for making time for us today and sharing your story and your perspective about the importance of staying connected with people.
Well, thank you, Luke. I always love talking with you, so I appreciate it.
As I reflect on my conversation with Joel Young today, I think his point about looking out is one of the most important things that we can do today. These are tough times, and we shouldn't try to do anything alone. And if you can build a network of people you can trust, people who can be honest with you, you can be way more effective as a leader. I know that's something I'm taking away from our conversation today. So that's it for our show. Thank you so much to Joel Young, City Clerk in the City of Chatfield, and to all of you out there listening and doing the hard and rewarding work that cities do. You can find us in all the places where podcasts are found, and you can rate and review us there as well. We love to hear from you, so please send us your comments or suggestions to podcast@lmc.org. Thanks so much and be well.